the scary side of the arena. So we have to be more consistent with coming out, going in and out of these gates, and building some positive associations with being on this side of the arena and going on walks. And so going on walks with Blue right now specifically is way less about doing my positive reinforcement cues over grass and way more about just pure positive exposures, and making positive associations with being away from her friends, which is her safety net, and exploring new spaces outside of her day-to-day track system and paddock where she spends most of the hours of her days. So we've gone on walks before, but usually it's with other horses when we have in the past. We haven't done really solo walks, which is really what I want to do more of. And for both her and the horses left behind, so they get used to their friends leaving them for short periods of time out of sight, at least to begin with, and work towards longer and longer periods. But for Blue, it has more to do with being able to ride her on trails in the future and be confident that she, although there's new stimuli and there's always stuff that can pop out of the bushes and there's reasonable expectations of being spooked on that level, that we are not fearful of our life just by coming out of the arena. So a lot of that's on me for simply not doing it enough. And I've just really prioritized a ton of working in the arena with her. And her hesitations with being on this side of the arena has everything to do with everything that's happening over here and the wind blowing in the trees and her just not having enough exposure to being over here. There's no fence lines over here, so the trails start over here, but I just haven't taken her out enough. So we are starting with short grazing sessions here just outside of the arena. Everyone's okay with this distance being away from each other. She did have a little bit of a spook before I started recording this, and she kind of skedaddled a little bit, like for half a second. She slipped and on her back end, and because she spooked and turned around and quickly came back to me, and it was fine. But I certainly, and she's like wanting to go further, which is kind of great. Certainly expected that, but she hasn't really spooked since, which is great. And just doing more things like grooming her at her station. I did that before we came out, and I hung her station on this side of the arena instead of her normal side. She was able to allow me to groom her. Was she super confident? Not as much as she has been on the other side of the arena with her stationing behaviors. But she could do it and she could listen. We did our full riding cone pattern that we've been practicing on under saddle because I want to keep that really consistent and predictable, whether I'm in the saddle or not. So we practiced our leading cues with those cones before we came out. Again, she wasn't as confident as I'd liked her to see her doing the cone pattern, but she still did it, and she was very responsive and wanted to stick with me. It gave me a ton of effort, and I was sure to reinforce all the little efforts and give her lots of food for it and just slowly help her regulate as best as I could before walking out of the arena gate. Now, normally when I walk my horses out, there's a gate on the far end between the arena and the paddock that I'll go walk up and down the driveway, and they're pretty confident with going out of that gate and having positive associations walking up and down the driveway. But I want that same confidence of coming out in and out of these gates, because I want them to know that, or I want her to know specifically, because Sugar and Lanny are pretty confident coming out of any gates and going on any length of walks without their friends. Like, they are just true trail horses. and true trail ponies. But Blue needs to turn into one. And so I want her to have more positive associations coming in and out of our spaces to eat grass because we love grass. So we're using grass to our advantage. And I love to see that she is actually on the other side of me, because normally she wants me to be on the scary side to help her be more confident. And she's the one that's kind of pressing onward towards the scary of whatever's scary over there. So I love seeing that. But yeah, so we're going to be doing lots of these kinds of walks where she's coming out of these gates and we're just grazing. We're just getting to a point of relaxation, and we're slowly, there's a car coming down the driveway. See how she does. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. We're just slowly going to make our way down the trail, which goes two different directions, that way, and can come back around. We can start on either end, but it circles around. So slowly doing short grazing sessions out here to help her relax. And then as we do it consistently, staying in this local area of grazing, then we can start building out and going further and further distances, slowly but surely, consistently. It's going to take me doing this quite a few days a week and being adamant about doing it a few days a week and not just once a week. So we're going to try to incorporate this more into a daily routine instead of every now and then, because that's only going to directly impact our confidence in riding as well. So fun training update.